All right, welcome everybody. We are going to be reviewing the case and then I'm going to give a quick update on everything. So let us begin. Lola?
Welcome to the Digital Town Crier. This is Lola, your AI co-host. I am here with Gladys, and we will discussing the fight between Pastor Tony Spells and his 20-year-old neighbor. Everything we discuss here is for education purposes only. What law enforcement says, Tony Spell was arrested on June 23rd, 2026, and booked on a felony charge of second-degree battery by the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. According to the arrest affidavit, the alleged victim, a 20-year-old neighbor, told investigators he shouted a profanity towards Spell while standing outside his home across from the church. Investigators allege Spell then crossed Hooper Road, confronted him, and assaulted him. The alleged victim was treated for injuries, with reports indicating he suffered facial injuries and required stitches. What the surveillance video reportedly shows. News organizations have obtained surveillance footage from the neighbor's family. According to those reports, Spell is seen running across the road toward the neighbor. The video reportedly shows the younger man throwing the first punch. After Spell reaches him, a struggle follows, during which Spell appears to pin the man to the ground and strike him multiple times. The video does not clearly establish everything that was said before the confrontation began. Spell's version of events. After posting bond, Spell publicly defended his actions. He claims the neighbor threatened to rape his wife and grandchildren and kill members of his family. He believed those threats were immediate and serious. He acted to protect his family and church that he has said the truth will come out in court. The neighbor family's response. The neighbor's family strongly disputes Spell's account. They say the alleged threats never occurred. Spell has been engaged in a years-long dispute with their family dating back to the COVID-19 pandemic. They describe Spell as the aggressor and have released additional surveillance footage that they believe supports their version of events. Background to the dispute. This was not an isolated disagreement. Reporting indicates the families have been involved in a long-running conflict involving disputes during the COVID-19 pandemic, surveillance cameras, previous police complaints, lawsuits, and earlier confrontations involving Life Tabernacle Church and the neighbors. What remains unresolved? Several key issues have not been established. Whether the alleged threats described by Spell were actually made, whether Spell can successfully argue legal justification or self-defense, whether prosecutors believe the available evidence supports the felony charge, whether additional charges or plea negotiations will occur. Those questions will likely be addressed as the criminal case moves through court.
Thank you, Lola, for giving us that update. And so, one of the things that I wanted us to do today was to go ahead and look at, what should we do if we are actually being threatened by somebody? Because if you look at this case, the things that have come out is the police department has said that they've only gotten 5 complaints that was related to the church and this family, and only one of those complaints was a very specific complaint that was related to the 20-year-old's family and Pastor Spells' family. And so it's really important that when we're being threatened, we know exactly what it is to do. And so the first thing to do is to take the threat seriously, obviously. So even if you think the person is angry and they didn't really mean it, don't dismiss threats. Make sure that you're documenting that this person is threatening you. Remove yourself from danger is something that's really important. So if it's possible to leave the situation and avoid the arguments and avoid trying to win. Don't try to win, avoid it, move away, and different things like that. call 911 immediately. So that's another thing that's really important. If you find that you feel like you're in danger or somebody is threatening your life, the person is threatening to kill you, cause serious bodily injury, they have a weapon, they're trying to enter your home, you believe you're in immediate danger, all of those reasons are reasons to call 911. If you call 911 and they say, oh, this doesn't sound like something that's in immediate danger, you can always call your local um, police hotline and your local police non-emergency hotline, and then file a complaint and make sure that you take down the complaints number. So documentation is the next thing. And so they say keep records, dates and times of the incident, exactly what was said as accurately as possible. If you have any photos or videos, especially if you know that this person repeatedly does this thing, then that's something you can do is make sure that you have your phone ready. We all have access now to our phones and cameras and things like that. And we can film any confrontations or things like that. If the person is threatening you through social media, text message, voicemails, and things like that, save that information. So save those messages. And those are things that you can use when you're filing your report. So the next thing is to report that incident to law enforcement. So this is where you're going to use all of the documentation, the videos, all of the things that you can in order to strengthen your case and let law enforcement know that you feel like you or your family is in danger. Strengthen your home security. So security cameras or video doorbell, good outdoor lighting, keep doors and windows locked, be always vigilant of your space and your area, let trusted neighbors know that this is happening, and let your friends and family know that this is happening so that it's not just your word against theirs. If something happens, your friends and your family can always vouch for you and say, yeah, I remember, him or her telling me that these things were happening at the time. Avoid retaliation. So don't threaten the person back or try to seek revenge. Responding to that kind of threat and those kind of things will just escalate the situation and make it more dangerous for you and your family. Seek legal protection. So um, depending on your location and your circumstances, you can definitely get a protective order in place, um, or a restraining order in place, and things like that. So that's something that reporting to law enforcement will be able to will help you with. Take care of your emotional well-being is one of the last things on here, on my notes that I took. And so taking care of your emotional health is really important because when we're threatened, it can bring up anxiety, fear, difficulty sleeping. A lot of stressors and strains can come along with being threatened and things like that. And so really do try your best to take care of your spiritual life. Make sure that those things are taken care of so that you can be healthy and have the right mindset as you're dealing with things like that. But I mean, when if all else fails, I would say call the non-emergency police number for your local police department and let them know what's happening, and then they can tell you what your options are, and things like that. Because, like in this case that's happening right now with Pastor Spells, you already hear the police department saying, "Oh, wait, there were 5 complaints, but only one of them was pertaining to this specific type of situation," and things like that. And so, in one of the things that Pastor Spell is saying is the reason why he beat up the 20-year-old is because this has been going on for a long period of time. They've made several reports. The police have been very negligent in this case, and things like that. And the police is making those statements, and so he's gonna have to prove these things in the court of law. So the hope, I really hope, is that every time they did file a complaint, that they kept a report of the complaint that they filed. Because if they kept copy of that complaint, then that'll help them in this whole process. If you are a person of faith, a way to handle this situation is it's important for you to choose prayer and wisdom, and also for you to do all the other things that I've said, the documentation, the calling 911, all of those different things. And remember that, God can give us wisdom in these cases to figure out what we need to do next. So again, avoid any direct confrontation with this person, communicate through law enforcement and things like that. So don't try to confront them directly at this point. Just report it, let law enforcement take care of it. um, I know that it can be very stressful, and that's why taking care of your mental health is one of the most important things. So take care of your mental health at all costs. Make sure that your mental health is well taken care of, because that's where it's going to, come to a point where you can use that wisdom that you're praying for. In order to use the wisdom that you're praying for, you have to be, in a space where you can receive the wisdom and receive that information and various things like that. So Pastor Spouse is supposed to be going to court to figure out what's going to happen next. He has felony charges, and from what I looked up, the felony charges means that he can get up to 8 years in prison. And so this is a very serious case. And his congregation and various people have already said that they're willing to go to court and testify and on his behalf, and let people know the things that they have gone through, because the church members themselves have come out and said that when they're busing, because they have to bus people in on Sundays, that when they're busing people in on Sundays, these neighbors are hurling insults and different things like that at them. So they're willing and ready to go to court and vouch for the mental stress that they've been under during the time that these things have been happening. And so that's where we are so far in that case. We just have to wait, I guess, until until they go to court and they figure those things out. But so that is just my little piece there when it comes to how do you deal with, um, threats and things like that from from a neighbor or from anybody really. How do you deal with those things? If you've listened so far, please like and subscribe. Leave us a comment and let me know if there's anything that I have missed. If you've been in a similar situation where you've been threatened and things like that, then please let us know what you did in order to resolve the issue. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know I tried to go live several times this evening, and it was a struggle, but I'm glad that this has happened so far and it's been recording. Again, thank you guys, and leave me a comment and let me know that you've listened. All right, we will talk soon.